Welcome to our efforts to end the coronavirus outbreak. Uh, Let me focus on a few key things that might be helpful. First of all, the way we want to go about having the impact that we need is, first of all, to provide very clear information about what's going on. And second of all, to provide clear information about what are the consequences of decisions that are being made, whether by policymakers or by individuals or by organizations or communities, all the different actors and players of our lives. Now, there's a third thing that we want to also engage in that we will be ramping up, and that is helping people help each other in the context of an emergency context, which we are unfortunately going through. With that as a background, we have a very incredible community of volunteers who are working on this efforts. Um, and we are organizing or disorganizing this effort on the Slack system. And there are a few things to think about as you engage with it. First of all, in some sense, it's purposefully disorganized. And there is a tendency in traditional organizations towards hierarchical control, but it really doesn't work for this kind of spontaneous effort, and surely not for responding to complex challenges. And this is really a complex challenge. So individuals have to take responsibility for themselves and self-organize into groups that can engage with larger efforts and efforts that require multiple talents that individuals can bring to bear. And Slack is actually a quite good, if not perfect, environment for doing this. So engage with it with that understanding in mind, that there isn't a very strict or rigid structure. In fact, the purpose of the system is to allow flexibility to respond in ways that are needed as things develop. Now, there is some structure, and we're going to be developing structures that are helpful over time. And some of them are, of course, the channels that you see or can join. And it is possible to get a list of the bigger channels, or and also possible to search through channels or to look at a list of channels that may help you find places that you want to join. But the main way to find things is actually to ask for help. And there are a lot of people that are around to help you. So if you post a question in the general channel or in whatever channel you happen to be located, someone may find and give you some direction and information. It is helpful to point out that there are some pinned documents. If you look at the top left of the interface, those pinned documents are there in order to provide people with general guidance. Now, the primary divisions, if you will, of the organization are the communication teams, the analytics teams, the outreach teams, and the technology teams. And that may be helpful to orient you. And we're trying to set up those as prefixes of all of the channels. That should happen quite soon, and that may help navigate around in the system. Now, there are some areas of activity that are large. For example, the analytics group is very large. The communications group is very large, and it's doing many, many different things as the community outreach. So, so there is a way to help with this, and there's a way to help yourself, and that is by self-organizing into teams. And a good size for teams is actually just about 3 to 5 individuals. So the way I've found that is helpful to do this is to have a list of projects that people are interested in engaging in, and to seek out those projects where other people are interested in. So you may be interested in one thing or another thing, but if you find one that multiple people are interested, you can join them in the effort. And the way I think about teams is that everyone has a superpower, and what you need to do is to bring and complement the superpower you have with others. So if you can find out what other people are good at, it's almost it's better much of the time to find others that complement you rather than are kind of doing the same thing that you do. That's sometimes it's of course still true that joining forces with people who are doing the same thing in order to create a larger scale effort is a good idea. But that's to be balanced against doing different things that help with decision making and doing complicated things together. Now, when you set up a team, be clear about what you're doing. So write out the subject of what you're doing together and sign up, put your name to it so that you all have an understanding of what it is that you're doing together. And then set a timeline, a real deadline. And it's important to realize that it's still a fast moving process. There's going to be a longer process that we have to deal with in terms of how people are going to be dealing with this effort altogether in terms of the public, everyone in their homes and so on. But it's really good idea to set a timeline that is short, maybe a couple of days, maybe 4 days, but not longer. Things generally take longer than you expect. So if you set a short timeline and really try to stick with it, then if you takes a little bit longer, then it still gets out and there's some result. And I really think that when teams are working together and you get to that time, you should present to others what you've done and get feedback from them so that you can figure out, whether there are next steps, how to refine it, and really how to move forward. And some of that can be about, the results of analysis, figures, narrative descriptions of what you have, and in communications, it may be about the pieces of work that you've done in terms of writing or graphics or whatever. And in outreach efforts, it might be, what you've accomplished and what you would like to further accomplish. But keeping a tabs of that and sharing it with others that are not part of the team can help you also move forward in effective ways. And if you post those things, they can help everybody in the system reach out with that information, either to you or to others that may be able to benefit from that information. And I would very much like rapid fire information about what's going on so I can also report it on Twitter and in other places. And we really should be collecting the information and putting it much more effectively on our website. And that's going to be possible if people report out quickly and efficiently in doing that. And we need to create systems for doing that so that the work really is brought to fruition in many different ways. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us and for engaging in this effort. We are facing a global crisis and everybody, there's a lot of suffering going on and we don't touch it every day, but some of us at least don't touch it every day, but you know, it's really difficult. And the fact that we are engaged in this process is designed to help people now, but really designed to cut off the suffering that is coming. And I can guarantee you, we know the dynamics enough so that it's going to be a lot worse than it is today. We have to cut that off so that not too soon, not too far away, we will be in a much better place. Thank you again, and I look forward to working with you.